So our sponsors for today are FinStreet. FinStreet helps you create passive income by giving you advice over what is happening in the financial world. It also helps you in different domains of finance and has a great YouTube channel where you could discuss with peers about what is happening in the world of finance. Hi, Rajit. Welcome to the Minimum Viable podcast. It's great to have you here. How are you doing today?
I'm good. It's also great to be here. Great to chat with you. Tell me.
So, Rajat, tell me about your company, right? When I was of your age, I didn't really know if I wanted to start a company or not. And you're one of the younger crowd who's come up with a great startup, right? Tell me about yourself.
So, I'm the founder of Data Sutram. We are a location data company. This company was started by three of us, two of my batchmates back. We were doing our engineering in Jadavpur in Kolkata. And I mean, the answer is really that we never knew that we'll start this company. It was an internship project that we were working with the government of West Bengal called a Matir Kotha, where we were using satellite data to help farmers predict crop yield. And from that project, we got to know about external data. And from there, it went into a part where we worked with clients and found out, is this really a problem that they face? So if you ask me why we found this gold and with which we could find what type of people live where, what's their spending habits, and we didn't know what to do. And when we really found out there's a business case to this, we thought that let's start this company, and that's how it started. It's not planned, not like something that we really thought of. So when I entered college, I was not expecting to come out with a company.
Okay. So essentially, you must have been ready to be doing this in your internship, right? I mean, there must have been some, what do you say, some work that went behind being ready in your internship semester? Do you have an internship semester in your college?
Yeah, so I think what's very important for a person in college to really understand what entrepreneurship is about is to intern in a startup. So the I think the day I was interning in this startup in my second year, I was in Bangalore summer, and I was interning in a startup. That's when I realized that this is what I want to do. This is where I want to work out of a bungalow and create solutions that companies and people outside this bungalow can use, and that's exactly the inspiration came from. So to all the people out there, I mean, people, if they're in college and if they want to start a company, I think it's very important to work in a startup, intern in a startup, because that's where the inspiration can come from. That's where you will actually know should you start a company or not.
Mm-hmm. Right. So how did you get into AI, right? Have you been a coder since your early days, or did you just start off in college?
So I'll be very honest. I was not one of those good coders in class. I was never the good development guy. So the reason I took to data science and AI because I was more a maths person than a coder. So that's the shift that happened. And I mean, data science was described as the sexiest job of 21st century. That was the big article that we grew up
Mhm.
in. It's just the reason why I took to data science was because it was interesting. It was fascinating. What is AI? What is this field that everyone talks about? And the more I explored AI, the more it became a habit. So today, the way we see it is, AI is not something that's out there. It's there in everyone. I mean, even basic analytics is empowered by AI. So the way it is that I never knew that data science is something I'm going to do, but why I chose data science is because data science makes development reach out to human. It's the solution of empathy. So data science, the way I see it, it's empathy over sympathy, where you can understand what people are facing and you can actually create. So I refuse to say AI. I more like to say data science, and
Mhm.
that's the way I see it. It's solutions of empathy that really inspired me to take into this field.
Right. So, what is the promise of AI, right? I mean, I understand you do have a distinction of data science versus AI, but say 10 years down the line, they say AGI might be a thing, but you as someone who's in the bunker doing all this stuff, what do you think is the promise of AI?
So the way I see it is, I don't know if you're aware that in US today, most companies, the data science teams are questioned by the top management as to how a neural network can give out a solution. So unless and until you can explain a neural network, your solution is not accepted. So
Right.
the future of AI, I won't see is something that stands alone, separate from humans. If AI is separate, is to be working out, it's going to be working out as a decision support system to make life easier for humans. So AI is not a challenge to humans, it's a decision support system, it's an enabler. Specifically for a country like India, AI gives the opportunity to really solve so many problems. I mean, take this example today. You and I are talking, working from home because there's a coronavirus outbreak out there, right? And if AI is the reason why today we can have smart location, using smart location data, we can plan a lot of things that would not have been possible earlier on. Today we can ensure stock stocks are not going out of shops maintain their basic principles, and a lot of things, the order is in place largely because AI is integrated into a lot of things. Today even patrolling, today a lot of even police, government is being able to do it because they're empowered by AI. So AI is a decision support system, and the way we see it, it's going to be a weapon that humanity uses to enable itself for better decisions and better support.
That makes a lot of sense. You're right. So you did mention you're building location as a service, right? So how does that work? How's the whole? How do you collect your data, and how do you make it insightful and actionable?
So the world is seeing a shift. We were the last decade was software as a service. That was the buzzword, right? Cloud-based SaaS, where companies used to deploy softwares, where people could use those softwares and pay per month. Now that model is shifting to data as a service, where we can give out data per month to a person and they can use in systems. Data is integrated into existing systems. So what we do, we have location data as a service that given any lat long, we can give a set of attributes that is represents the socioeconomic, demographic, spending, footfall patterns of that location. Now with this data, what we do is we have a platform where our data engines compute over 170 data sources today. We use AI to pre-process, structure this data. In India, we have a shortage of data because we are a country of unstructured data. Today, one village name is spelled across 10 different ways in 10 different data records. Now you need NLP to really bring it all together.
Right.
Today, most of our records are in handwritten scripts. You need OCR to actually make it into something you can use. Then you have all these satellites and drones out there, nightlight intensity. Imagine, how can you know about a village level affluence? Nightlight intensity married with rental data can give you an indicator. So
Right.
there are these amazing things that are out there that we do, taking into account multiple data sources. The way you see it is, it's a food chain where the primary raw data generators are out there, and we are an intelligence layer on top of that, which helps process that data into something a business can use.
Right.
So you know how cotton was converted into textiles before clothes, like brands could make clothes out of it? The same way, we are that process of converting data into something meaningful that a business can readily use. So with our location data today, we are working in retail, BFSI, real estate, with EV companies on where to set up stores, where should I deploy my ad, what kind of charging stations should I set up there, what kind of capacity should I have, what products to keep where. There's a plethora of problems, and what we see, we are a very horizontal product. Tomorrow we will see product companies come out based on our data. That's the vision with which we are building this company.
Right, right. So essentially, are you using public sources, or when you say unstructured data, are you crawling this off the web, or is it private data that companies share with you?
So it's a mix of private and public data. We don't use individual level data. We use anonymized data. In public data, we use government records. We use, often companies have a lot of data which they can't use, let's say records and all that. So we have our engines deployed there to process it and take it. So we have two ways of use it. One is we take public data that is readily available for commercial use, and second is we work with companies who are working on the data monetization, who are following the basic laws of data privacy and are still looking to monetize their data. So we offer them the platform to integrate their data sources, with which we model multiple sources together to compute our own.
Right, right, right. So it's a mix of private and public data, and some proprietary ways to understand the data.
So we have built our own models into it. So this entire engine where we take in the multiple raw data sources and give out a set of attributes is where our entire IP lies. So we have built, so every block of this data engine, it might be a simple transliteration model from Gujarati to Bengali, or it can be a simple, like simple OCR script to read text written in Urdu, or it can even be affluence model which can map directly affluence level from nightlight intensity. All of these are something we have worked on and we are patenting at the moment. So our data engine is built up of three blocks. A bit technical, I'm going into.
No worries, no worries.
Preparation, cleaning. So it's preparation, catalog, and blending, and each of these blocks have our own models and ML algorithms written, which
Right. So would you think that you're more of a product company or a services company, right? How do you get the product mindset into the whole pipeline that you've just mentioned?
I think that's a fantastic question. Because when startups come up, the first question they face from investors is it a product company or is it a service company? And to be very honest, when a company starts, no company is a single product company. Every company does services to sustain and eventually builds a product. And how do you know if you're making the right product unless and until your market validates? And you can only validate your market by doing services. So I think I have a very different belief in this. I think no product standalone is a single product or a single service. The way we do it is we have five engines. So our data engine is composed of five components.
Right.
So the data as a service part, where we build the engine to take in raw data constantly into the processes to take in that data and have our own algorithms deployed, cleaning it, structuring it, building our own indexes and giving out as APIs. This entire data engine is something that we have productized. So this is the product side of this company. And then each of the APIs, we are building end-to-end solutions for our customers, where it might be opening where to open my next store. It can be where to open. So it is a lot. So this is the part where it's a service. So what we usually follow to maintain a balance is a 70-30 split. So to start off with, we had maintained a 70-30 split always between our product and service revenue. And as long as the company maintains that, I think it's not really a challenge, because eventually all those service parts, once you've done 10-15 services, like one of our companies, we have worked across more than 15 clients on that, and now we are productizing it. So you need to so what Indian companies often fail at is UX and UI. They fail to capture what the customer really needs, because Indian customers need ki mere liye kuch alag bana hai. So how do you tackle that thought? That's what we had as a challenge at the very initial stage. So we used a lot of open sources and tried to how can we productize the service end of it. But so we did the 30 as a service, and then now we are wrapping it up more into an 80-20, and gradually the plan is to take into a 90-10 split.
Right. So when I wanted to ask you about culture, right? So when I asked you the previous question, I mean, there is a mindset where you say, oh, let's just keep on doing services, right? So was there a shift where you think like right now, after say 15 initial customers, did you decide like very consciously that you want to move to a product mindset? Because
I think we have to understand. Yeah, I think we have to understand that why do companies make a product? Let's try to address that question.
Right.
The entire reason why. So when I'm writing the same piece of code 10 times for a person, that's when I realize that chalo isko can we make it into a process? That's the basic principle of automation, right? And that's the very principle that works behind a product as well.
Right.
When I've done exactly the same thing for 10 clients and I have my component ready, why will I waste manpower or my own energy on doing it for a third party? Can I make it a DIY which I can readily deploy for the next customer?
Right.
So that is the experience which actually pushes you to shift from a service to a product. And at the same time, I think some bit of funding is also a very crucial factor for a company to change its mindset into product, because to ensure this 70-30 split right from start is very difficult. So you need that funding to actually have a 3-4 month experience, and that's I think one way we really benefited from being a part of the 100X.VC. We raised our first check there, and that gave us some bit of a leeway to build the product before. But even beforehand, I'd say that we always tried to maintain that. So our services team had to do enough revenue So this was, I'm talking about in the bootstrap stage.
Right.
So our service team had to make enough revenue to sustain the product as well. So I think any founder, whether you're raising funds or not, if you're starting a company, you should always remember that, at the end of the day, you have to survive. But at the end of, you should focus on the revenue part. That's how businesses work. But you should always be lazy and see how can I do minimum work. That's when you can build actually a product.
Mm-hmm. So you did raise your angel round from 100X.VC. So Sanjay Mehta is like a legend in the Indian startup ecosystem. So how was so how was interacting with him like?
So I think it was very funny story where I honestly I was not very aware of what 100X.VC is anything. So I it was a very random cold mail that I had shot because I saw there in the articles and all, and I sent, and the next day I got a call, and the day after I was in Mumbai, and within 2 days we signed this. So it was fantastic. So I think the way I see it is 100X.VC has the capability to identify the vision. It's very the way they aligned with the vision of us is what I really like most. And even before him, I was in a situation to raise some funds. We were doing some SHAs with some investors. So but the reason why we went ahead with this is because I think the overall experience that 100X brings to the table is way more. It's more of an accelerator, because at this early stage you just don't need money. You need contacts, you need a push, you need industry connect, and you need to raise your funds keeping in mind you're going to raise 5 rounds after this. So there's a host of other things that these factors that you have to take into account when you're raising your 100X can be really a game changer for the Indian startup industry, specifically if they actually can fund 100 startups a year as their plan. Then it's going to be a game changer, because that Y Combinator model has really helped Silicon Valley startups to really go out there, because funding is just one problem. I mean, there's a host of other problems that entrepreneurs face which really need help.
Right. So you started off in college while you still had classes. So how did you manage to pull that off? Right. I mean, was it a very chill environment in Jadavpur?
Yes, of course, it was a very chill environment. The reason why we could actually pull this off. And B, I think I was never the person who was much into classes. So even in school, so that's one of the reasons we could do this. So and also the thing is very important is, we see a lot of people doing a lot of things in college. It's very important that they do it, but it's also very important to have the mindset is that if I am building an app, I should have at least 1,000 users using that app. So whatever you're building, can I get traction? Can I get people to really to add value to that? That's very important. Like, I'll tell you a very personal story. I see a lot of startup enthusiasts in college and all, but the problem is that people do that because of not wanting to add value, and that is the main problem that people face. So if you're building an app, you should focus on, am I getting value out of it? And always, I think one thing that I also faced back as a huge problem is whatever we build, we think we are building something great, but at the end of the day, market will drive your product. So the reason Jadavpur gave me the opportunity to really be out there working with a lot of clients in Calcutta, specifically in retail and these segments, which actually taught me a lot of things. So I think that free time that Jadavpur gave me to actually work on real projects was the reason I could do this company more.
Right. So I see that you're based out of Kolkata. So how's the ecosystem there? I mean, does the location make it hard or easier to build your company?
So I think right now is the best time to answer that. Imagine all businesses are right now working from home, and we are all doing meetings over Zoom and all. So in today's world, it should not technically be a challenge to run a company out of anywhere. You should be out of anywhere. But now, keeping in mind the ideal scenario, the practical scenario is that for enterprise connects, you need to meet the client. So at least that was the scenario before Corona. I don't know what will happen after.
Right.
So now there we did face some bit of problem in getting the business traction. We had to fly down to Mumbai and all to get the work settled. But the way we see it is, it's easier to run a tech company in Calcutta than in Bangalore, because you're not afraid that your team is going to run away to somewhere else tomorrow. So that's one of the things, that's a very basic principle. And I feel that 2-3 factors are very important to having your base team somewhere. Is one, you need to have economic convenience. You cannot worry much about rent if you're going to run a tech company and build a product. That way Calcutta gives a leeway. Second, the Calcutta market opportunity is a lot. There are a lot of industries out here, but I think it still needs a bit of change in the mindset and needs growth. It's not yet there, but I'm optimistic it will be there. And one of the reasons we are based out of Calcutta is to actually make it achieve that. Like, I am personally in Mumbai, like almost the entire month, but my entire tech team and everything is in Calcutta, and we ensure that it is there because we want to build a environment here.
Right. So say for example, I'm an 18-year-old and I really want to get into data science, right? There's a lot of kids that want to do that. What would you recommend these kids?
I think, firstly, I should say that I'd first ask that guy, if I was that 18-year-old, I'd first ask why data science.
Right.
Because I feel there's a very big jump into data science. I personally did that, but the space is not that, I'd say, at a stage where the implementation stage.
Right.
So why I would ask the question of why data science is because if people can really answer that, then they are ready for the implementation stage. Because if you know where I can put a neural network to and where I can put a implementation of a machine learning model in, like, what I would first ask that 18-year-old is to get a hang of the overview of the data science. If data science was a black box, then what is the input and the output going to be? If you can figure out that, then only it's worth to go into that black box and understand the black box in details. Because if you understand the black box in details and you don't know where the input and output is, I personally feel it's very difficult to really get a grasp of it. But at the same time, I think there are a lot of good avenues for enthusiasts in data science today. You have Kaggle, you have so many data sets out there. Even I was surprised with the number of data sets out there on the coronavirus outbreak itself. So I feel there's a lot of opportunity. If you're into data science, very good. It's a crazy field. Know what you're doing. Forget some and don't just do coding in data science. You should go by the maths also, because the maths becomes very important when you go into that implementation stage. Because we work with real data, we work with unstructured data, and the reason we could do it is because of maths. Because see, these models that Python or these that you readily get available for deploying, they work on standard data sets. Whenever the data becomes something else, you need to tune the model accordingly. That knowledge can only come out of maths, and that cannot come out of coding. So that knowledge of maths is very crucial if you want to really be into data science.
So you mean statistics, probability, or something else?
Right. So the statistics is a field of maths itself. So I feel statistics, basic idea. So what happens is, I'll tell you, we have a lot of interns in data science. We, like, last 2 years, I've been working with a lot of college people in data science. The problem is that people tend to forget what mean median mode is and want to deploy a supervised machine learning model.
Right.
That's the thing I don't want it to happen. So you should know what clustering in statistics also means. I don't want you to mug up the formula, but you should know what it means and where you can tweak things.
Right.
So that basic grasp of the subject from a statistic point of view is very important in data science.
Right. I understand. So getting back to your enterprise customers, right? So I believe that selling to these customers can be pretty hard. How did you manage that?
I think it's actually a challenge that every company out there should take, because getting from 0 to 1 is very difficult, but once you crack 0 to 1, it's very easy to go from 1 to 100. So enterprise level clients, getting to an enterprise level clients, actually convincing them of your value proposition actually will help you understand the value proposition better.
Right.
I think we spent around 6 months on understanding how to translate what we are doing into something that everyone understands.
Right.
And I think that is the most important knowledge a company needs to have.
Right. So like, walk me through like your first sale, if you can. I mean, if that's okay.
So I think it was. I'll walk you through the change that happened when I started selling selling my first product itself. I was talking about how we could map affluence levels and how we could take in data. We have the data of who stays where and what kind of habits they have, and how you can track your store performances and find out which factors are contributing to the business sales of it. And I think that went well with the client. There was appreciation, and but the end, the customer was like, what benefit am I getting? So the sales cycle then now changes with, you will achieve a growth of 25%.
Right.
The question comes how, and then you answer. I think that is the very big change that needs to come out, is you have to talk about the value proposition that you are bringing. So if my customer is paying 10 rupees for my product, how much is he getting benefit by, and what is he saving? That has to come out crystal clear, and that will only come out when you have that one customer. So 0 to 1 is very important. 1 to 100 can happen.
You're right. So, Rajit, I think you're a very well-read man. What do you follow these days? I mean, what should I read? What should my listeners be reading these days?
I think you've got me wrong about that. I'm more of this person who sees a lot of these videos and TED talks. I'm
Right.
inspired by a lot of TED talks. So, but yeah, of course, I do read. Steve Jobs has been one of my biggest inspirations to this entire story, and his autobiography. If you haven't read it, I'm sure you have, but if you haven't, you should must read, because it's actually a game changer on such times, on how crisis times, and how you can actually build solutions of empathy to actually help people get ahead. Because in times of this, solutions of empathy, the way I put it, it's the best time for data science to come out and help people.
Right. Do you follow some influencers in the whole industry? I understand TED Talks would be a bit of a wide audience, but are there some specific people you follow?
So I think one person I'd really mention is, I think it's very important today that our generation follows the likes of Elon Musk, because he's someone who stands a bit different from all the entrepreneurs out there.
Right.
He today is talking about a future that is way ahead, and he's actually the startup that is building a product. A Tesla or a SpaceX is today something that the future is going to be. Imagine if we could had made some invention 10-20 years back that could help us today during this outbreak, then it would not be a problem, right? The startups of today are more like the companies who are now doing something. I'm blaming myself as well, when the outbreak has happened. But the real innovation is when you can predict something and you can build for the future. So that way, I think Elon Musk is something that is a very been a big inspiration to me, and I someday want to build a. So if I'm building a product company, I want to build a product company that can solve problems of tomorrow, more than problems of today. Because I mean, that's really going to be the big difference maker.
So talking about Elon Musk, what do you think the future will look like? There's a lot of stuff happening. There's AR, VR. There's drones, which I've personally worked in. There's AI, of course, that you're working on. Then there's 5G. There's IoT. I mean, what do you think is going to happen in the next 10 years? I mean, I'm sure all of this stuff will converge in some way. I mean, do you have some vision of what the future could look like?
I really hoped that I had. But if I had, I would have made the next company,
Right.
which was the next Tesla. But I mean, the way I see it is, if you think of it, what did this outbreak do? It brought in concepts that we were working on, from home, AR, VR. Like what is AR, VR, or what is working from home? It's essentially being able to sit at one place, not move around, and still explore the world, do your work, chat with your friends, learn new things. Now suddenly everyone is forced into that. This outbreak has just rapidly increased the evolution of mankind, if you look at it that way. Today schools are being forced to use the likes of Zoom and Microsoft Teams to hold classes. Why was this never happening before? Today mankind, in these 3 weeks or 6 months, or whatever the timeline of this outbreak is going to be, are going to realize that how many meetings were unnecessary. They're going to realize how many travels were unnecessary. They're going to realize that certain things can be done without spending a lot. So I think we are in for a change, and these are very interesting times we are living in. We should not be sad. We should be really excited, because this is the time to really build the new future. And I mean, I really hoped I could share the vision for the future, but I think it's going to be a world where AI, drones. Imagine drone delivery. Today, delivery companies are failing. Imagine if drone delivery was there was a startup who could do drone delivery, and Indian government could license it. Imagine the extent that this could go to. I mean, if you worked in drones, you know what
Yeah, yeah,
would
yeah.
have happened. It would have solved so many problems.
You're right.
So, I mean, that's the idea. We have to go into a world where technology is enabling us, helping us create this better future.
Mhm. So on that optimistic note, I thank you so much, Rajit. Where can we find you? I mean, where are you most active so that if our listeners really need to ask you something, where can we follow you?
So I'm very active on LinkedIn. So you can just I mean, we spoke on LinkedIn as well. So you can
Right.
just mess your, like, anyone who wants to get in touch, wants any advice, wants to work in data science, wants to anyone I can help with whatever little I know, or even wants to see our platform. Most welcome. I'm always there on chat. They can just ping me, and I'm always ready to reply.
All right, Rajat. Thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It was really nice talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you.